Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Wendy Sellers, the HR lady, with my co-host, JC.
Hey, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be back, and aloha to our Friday episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Friday. It's finally here.
Wendy, did you know that nothing ruins a Friday more than realizing it's actually Tuesday? Back to
you. Oh, trust me, there has been how many times that I was thinking it's Friday and it's like Wednesday and I'm like, oh no, this is the longest week ever. It usually goes fast when you have a lot of things going on and get things done. What was that, Joey?
Or maybe you're having a wonderful Wednesday and it was so good you thought it was Friday.
There it is.
Yeah, maybe. And like, I have 2 more days to go. I love what I do. I'm the HR lady. I'm a consultant. I do a lot of management training and leadership development and conference speaking. And I love what I do, but I too need some time off.
Oh, I get it, man. We all
don't we all
relaxation. Yeah.
So, hey, Dr. Joey, tell our listeners about, you have so many books. I know we're talking about today about, your coaching business and as Work Positive today, but how many books do you have?
I don't know. Let's get my mom on the phone and ask her because she's the only person I know that's read them all. Not true. Books for me are, I get up in the morning thinking about stories and books. And so books for me are like food, whatever the last meal I had is my favorite meal. So the last book I wrote is my favorite book. And that's the Do One Thing book that we talked about earlier. All of these are available on Amazon, by the way. The one that preceded that, Small Hinges Swing Big Doors, which we mentioned earlier also, that literally has 51 culture, I call them dots, that connect people and profits. The one before that, which is kind of the manifesto, if you will, of the Work Positive framework, is Work Positive in a Negative World Team Edition. So that one continues to sell well even 4 years after. So
that's awesome. I'm on Amazon right now looking at your description of Small Hinges Swing Big Doors. Yeah. And I love the one bullet says, you learn how to stop the work sucks and it's not my job crowd. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, my good friend Jody Thompson wrote a book, Why Work Sucks and How to Fix It. So let me recommend her book to you. Also, my good friend, the man with 2 first names, Jeff Harry. He is all about putting play back into work and into our lives. And so he's all about how to cure work sucks. There are just so many. I call them ER vampires. Because we remember ER, right? It'll never work. And then vampires, because if these people at work who are so negative, who are so toxic, I refer to them generally as Kevins. If these people who are perpetuators of Kevin culture would just stay at work, it'd be cool. But what happens is they get in the back of our heads, and when we go home and we're trying to play with our family or have an enjoyable meal with friends or something, guess who's circling in the back of our heads? Because we're infected with that negativity and that toxicity, and it just comes out in all ways. And they're sucking time, energy, and attention away from the people that we love and choose to be with, rather than the people that we find ourselves on a team with at work. So that's where that really comes from, is just helping people understand that mentally, emotionally, socially, physically, and even ethically, you have choices to make. Your mind is like a muscle. You can develop positive thought patterns over and over and over. And this is not some woo-woo stuff, although we can go woo-woo if you want to, but it works. You train your brain and the neural pathways respond in positive ways. The amygdala in the brain, and I promise not to geek out here, but the amygdala in your brain goes all over your head. And I'm sorry we're not on video here because I'm bald and you can see my whole head, right? And you can see most of JC's too. And so the amygdala goes all over the brain. And even if something is not true, it's a falsehood, it's a lie, it's a fear, based on what may or may not happen. The third time that traffics through your amygdala, your brain can no longer distinguish between that lie and the truth, which is that it hasn't happened yet. So your perception has become your reality at that point. Well, you can train your amygdala, you can train your brain, the reticular activating system, the place where the movies of your life play in your brain. You can train those, and you can leave on the cutting room floor. I'm showing my age now, aren't I? On the cutting room floor, right? All of that toxic film that you shot. And you can move forward and replace it with positive things. And so just helping people know that there are choices. You can make choices. And literally, it's not brain science.
87% of people with positive mindsets are more likely to lead healthier lives and make better health decisions, too. And people with a more positive outlook can withstand up to 50% more pain than those with a negative attitude. Optimists are 19% less likely to die early than pessimists, believe it or not. And lastly, in this final roundup on my stats side here, a remarkable 88% of job seekers believe that a healthy work culture is critical to their success. So if we tabulate all that together, keep your employees happy, they'll live forever and keep working for you at low wages. Back to you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Not at low wages.
Edit. No, I'm
no,
kidding.
but the wage, though, that's a serious part of happiness at the same time. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. You're right once again, JC. And yet another example of how right you are. And I'm delighted to hear that I've just got to hang in there like an old rusty fish hook to my optimism, and I will outlive all these ER vampires. And pretty soon we'll all be in Kansas, right? Yeah, what happened to old Sam? He died. He was a pessimist. Oh, I would say I'm sorry to see him go, but I'm not.
Right? I know. Things we don't say out loud, right?
Yeah, really.
Or we shouldn't say out
loud.
loud.
The theater of your mind.
This has been so amazing and so informative. I think we can probably talk for hours, but we do have to wrap this up. So thank you so much, Dr. Joey of Work Positive Today. How can our listeners find you?
Just go to workpositive.today. There we'll give you the free Something to Talk About course. Hook up with me on LinkedIn. Let's meet up there. Thousands and thousands of people do, most of whom are in the human resources world, and people who are quite intentional on putting the human back in human resources. So that's part of our mission as we seek to grow people and profits. Get that free course, Something to Talk About. And then also the Work Positive newsletter comes out weekly. In there, you'll find a link to my blog. You'll find an excerpt from the Do One Thing or the Small Hinges book. Also, you'll find a link to that week's podcast, the Work Positive podcast, where I interview incredible people from all over the world. Jesse Cole, owner of the Savannah Bananas, has been a guest. Gary Ridge, the recently retired CEO of WD-40, who hasn't used a bunch of cans of WD-40.
I used it this week.
Yeah, exactly. So all these purveyors of positive work cultures, Lindsay Dowd, Heartbeat for Hire. I mean, there are just so many amazing people that I've been very fortunate to interview on the Work Positive podcast, which, by the way, is also on Spotify and wherever else whatever your favorite podcast platform is.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll make sure I'll have all the links in my podcast and the Aurora Training Advantage podcast. We hope that this information has been helpful, everyone. Thanks for joining us and take care.
Thanks so much, Wendy.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.